What's up, y'all, and welcome to another episode of Worldly Church Girl. It's your girl, your host, Lillian Harshaw. On today's show, I have the visionary, entrepreneur, media producer, Pastor John E. Girton Jr., aka Pastor G. Well, you are very well known in your pastoralship and your community service and your entrepreneurship, but very few may or may not know that you actually began in journalism. What drew you to love journalism?
Well, it really wasn't. First of all, thank you for having me and wanting to have these conversations. It's very rare that people want to talk about sort of the holistic Pastor G. People like to remember me where they met me. So I appreciate you at least asking these more in-depth questions. But basically, it really didn't start with journalism for me. It started because I was a DJ. I started DJing at about the age 13 when I really got into it, buying records and all that kind of good stuff. And somebody saw me DJing, they saw what I was doing, and they said, hey, I see you like all these knobs and equipment and all that kind of stuff. There's a program at Indiana Black Expo that helps to train young people on audio video stuff. And they said, you should join it. And I said, oh, okay. And so I started DJing at 13, and at 15, I applied and was accepted into the program called the Youth Telecommunications Workshop of Indiana Black Expo. And that's what got me into the video thing at 15. And I would just say that once I got into it, I excelled. They started calling me Hawkeye. And so, not really thinking about it, I had a music video that aired on BET in regular rotation before I was 8, 19, 20, something like that. I was the youngest and only African-American cameraman at the 87 Pan Am Games. When I got to college, I already had amassed awards and whatnot from Australia for archery and all this other stuff. So it started as DJing, and then it transitioned into video through the IBE Youth Telecommunications Workshop. And once I got into it, it just became who I was.
So you mean to tell me if somebody put 2 turntables in front of you right now, you can scratch a little bit?
As long as they Technique 1200s. Don't
not
put
the new digital stuff.
don't put no weak stuff in front of me. You give me some 12 inches, some Electric Kingdom, or some Run DMC, some Profile, some Def Jam.
Come on now.
Give me some of that, and I'll take you there.
Some real hip hop.
Yeah.
Now you also took your love for journalism into teaching, and you end up teaching at Ball State. Now, how'd that even get started?
I had a company. I'm a serial entrepreneur, obviously. Having started DJing at 13. Actually, before I started DJing, to make money, I would sell peanut butter cookies that I would make. So I started that at my mom's house, selling peanut butter cookies out her back door. And then I would make bikes to make money. I had a paper route to make money. I was DJing to make money. And so I've always had businesses. I can start a business in 5 seconds. I'm up and running. No matter where I've been, I've always started one. And so once I did quite a bit of traveling, and I don't know if you're going to ask me about the music business or not, but I did a lot of traveling. And then once I landed in Nashville, I built a company called Mass Media Consulting, which I started and wrote the business plan in college for that company. I actually drew the logo while I was sitting in class for the company. And when I got to Nashville, I went ahead and built that company up to, we were doing we were doing over $500,000 a year, which for a boutique agency was pretty good for a small minority agency at the time. Well, September 11th hit. And when September 11th happened, many of my clients started to close up their purse strings. So we started losing money. And I held on, my company, we held on for maybe another year and a half. But eventually we had to close the company because we just were not able to make the kind of money we were making prior to September 11th. So after I closed the company down, I got a phone call from a friend of mine who we were ordained in ministry together, Dr. Kareem Jackson. She was a professor at Tennessee State University. And she said, hey, we got a situation over here. You have a degree in communication, you got a lot of experience and whatnot. And we just had chairman of our communication division quit right before classes started. And she
Wow.
said, have you ever thought about teaching? And I said, sure, I thought about teaching. I never, I thought I would retire teaching. She said, well, put your Vita together, send it to me, and somebody's going to call you like Monday. I said, okay, what's a Vita? I never forget that. I'm like, what's a Vita? I don't know what that is. So we had to look up what a Vita was. I put it together, sent it off to him. And that following week, I went to meet at Tennessee State University about teaching an adjunct position there in communications, radio and television production broadcast. Well, this was 2002, 2003, something like that. When I did that, I said, you know what? I never really thought about teaching. So at the same time, I applied for a teaching job at ITT Technical Institute in, it was called instructional design or something like that. And so what ended up happening was ITT Tech called me quicker than Tennessee State. So in October of that year, I started teaching at ITT Tech as an adjunct professor. And then in November, TSU finally called me back and I ended up teaching adjunct at Tennessee State. So I ended up starting teaching at Tennessee State University and ITT Technical Institute. And then that following summer, I got a call from Dr. Sabril Bennett about teaching a journalism course at the Siegenthaler Center on the campus of Vanderbilt University. So that summer, we brought students in from HBCUs around the country, and we taught them what was called backpack journalism there at the Siegenthaler Center at Vanderbilt. So I did that, and it wasn't until, so that's 2002 to about 2009. It wasn't until 2009, Ball State called and said, hey, we see what you're doing at TSU. By then, I was the director of creative media services. I had left the classroom. I was no longer TV operations manager. I had been promoted to a director. But Ball State called and said, hey, we want to take you back in the classroom if you'd be willing to come up and teach what's called a joint curriculum between communication and journalism. There's very few people in the country that could teach both, but I was uniquely qualified to actually teach both. And so they plucked me up from TSU, called me up from Nashville, gave me a one-year contract, and that's what got me back here teaching at Ball State.
I could tell that you were a 70s kid when you said I always was working to make money because that's what we did. And it just kind of, and you probably like me, you look at these millennials and you're like, y'all don't understand what hustling really was because we hustled from day one. In your bio, you said, and I quote, I'm a thought leader engaged in serving the community. I want you to break that down because I've never heard one say they are a thought leader.
So I'm not sure if that's a spelling error, but that's supposed to be thought leader.
Okay.
And so it could be a typo or something, but thought leader is what that is supposed to be. And let me describe that and what that really means when I say that. The African American community is unique in that we don't often know what to do with visionaries, our community. Our community has a very sketchy past with innovators and visionaries. And often what happens is, like when you got someone like me, I've forgotten more business ideas than some people have ever thought of. I mean, I can sit here and I can look at something floating across this parking lot over here, and my brain will come up with an idea of how to capitalize on that trash that's floating across it. I mean, it's just the way my brain, I'm wired that way. And so because I'm wired that way, number one, and number two, because I have access to the internet, and number three, because I'm a 70s kid, okay? Because I'm a 70s kid, that means something.
Amen. Yes.
Because of those three things, that gives me a unique ability to create opportunity where for most people, opportunity does not exist, right? And so as a thought leader, what that means for me is that I'm always thinking of ways to do things better, to do things faster, to do things, more creatively. That's the way my brain works. The challenge is I live in a circle around people that don't know what to do with someone, I'm often a threat, or I'm often misunderstood, or people typically don't figure out, oh, we get it, until I'm far down the road, if that makes sense. It makes it rough on me, but what I do is I try to take opportunities whenever I can to identify other young thought leaders and to help them understand what they see or what they're experiencing, so they don't do like me and become frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because when you see something that other people don't see, the first thing is to say, what's wrong with y'all? You don't see this? You know, you
Mm-hmm.
don't see this
Mm-hmm.
opportunity, right? And you do enough of that, and it will frustrate you to the point where you start to question yourself, like, what's wrong with me? How come I keep seeing stuff and nobody else is seeing it, right? And so thought leaders, innovators, servant leaders, creative people have to have an environment that is supportive of that mindset, or they will, number one, burn out, or number two, they'll quit. They'll stop thinking, they'll stop innovating, they'll stop creating, because there is not a supportive environment that nurtures that creativity or that thought process. And so that's what I try to do, is I try to nurture that in other people, so that they can know that there's nothing wrong with them, that they are
Right.
okay, and that it is all right to be in a company and have an entrepreneurial mindset while you're working for somebody else. That's okay. Some people can't help it, right?
Right. Right.
So that's kind of what the thought leader thing is all about. And I don't know what else. I can't turn it off. So I've just learned to live with it.
Now, what about that person that doesn't have that circle or can't find that circle? What should that person do to encourage themselves until they do find that circle, or they create that circle?
Well, a couple things. Number one, game recognizes game. All right, game recognizes game, and typically, if if you here's the deal, if you are an innovator or creator, if you are a visionary, and if you got two opportunities, two options here. Number one, if it's in you, if it's in your DNA, there's nothing that you're going to be able to do to stop pouring out your gift, pouring out
Mm-hmm.
vision. There's nothing. If it's really in you, I don't care what you do to try. You can try to move away from it. You can try to divorce it. You can try to castrate it. Whatever you want to do. Every relationship you get into, it's going to result in the same outcome. Every place you go, every company you join, every person you meet, the same thing is going to happen if it's in your DNA. You
Mm-hmm.
cannot. It's like seeds. When you plant it, I don't care what you do, something gonna grow. Maybe I should
Mm-hmm.
say more like weeds, because you don't even have to plant a weed seed. A weed is gonna grow. It just happens. So that's the first thing. The second thing, though, is that if a person attempts to suppress what innately is inside of them, game recognizes game. I can see when God has gifted you and anointed you for such a time as this. I can see it in you. I can see you denying it, right? I can see you suppressing it. That's if you're a spiritual person, and you operate based on discernment. And I see more in some people than they see in themselves. As a visionary, I can see when another person is a visionary and they are suppressing the visionary gifts that God has placed on the inside of them. And so if you don't have a circle, number one, be okay with continuing to pour out, continue to give, continue to sow seeds, continue to do what you have been created to do, continue to get better, continue to learn, continue to invest in yourself, because one of these days, somebody like me is going to come along and say, hey, how long you been doing that? Sister, I can ask you 2 or 3 questions, and I know everything I need to know about your production process. Everything I need to know about your spirit of excellence, right? I can ask you a couple questions. I can ask you about everything from let's see, I'm trying to think, if I want to talk about Adobe Audition, I can ask you about Pro Tools, I can ask you about Fruit Loops, I can ask you about what's it, GarageBand, I can ask you about Adobe, whatever. I can ask you several questions on the audio tip. I can ask you several questions on video tip. I can ask you about Premiere. I can ask you about Final Cut Pro. I can ask you about Media, whatever, Media 100, Avid. And by and someone who is walked in your moccasins can see, okay, I see what you're doing. I see where you're going. I see how you're handling it. All you need is to make a left right here, and you're going to be right where you want to be because I've been there. I know how you're thinking. I know how frustrated you are. I know where you're trying to go. I can see because I've been there. And so if you don't have a circle, here's what I say. Never stop doing what you do. Never stop trying to do it on another level, because one day, right? I always get up and say, today might be the day. One day, the right person will see you doing the right thing, and you can become elevated because you weren't what how they say it. You weren't. I don't remember how they say it, but my point is that you can wait for the opportunity and then prepare, or you can prepare so that when the opportunity comes, you ain't got to wait. You go right into it. And that's the point I'm trying to make. You don't wait to be great. You just keep doing what you do. And trust me, God will he'll make room for you. Your gift will make room for you, and you'll be able to go to do the things you want to do. But if you give up and you quit and you suppress and you hide and you run, then when the opportunities come, you ain't ready.
Because your pastoralship, do you feel that it has prepared you for the journey that the Lord has you on right now?
The path to the pulpit is through the pew. It's
Mm-hmm.
walking past the pew. You got to walk past the pew to get to the pulpit.
That's
And
right.
what that really means is that from a theological perspective, we talk about exegesis all the time. And exegesis just means that you sort of dissect the word of God in order to glean what it means for the time that we're in right now. That's exegesis. And what theologically we have to do in order to prepare ourselves for pastoral leadership is that you have to eisegete the pew. In other words, you got to dissect what mom and them and what daddy and them and what this member, the usher board and them, and all you got to dissect their lives. You got
Mm-hmm.
to understand what they've been through. You got to understand what they're facing. You got to understand their highs and their lows. You got to understand their struggles. That's why I went to the streets. Okay. That's why I went to the tent. I went to the tent because I knew that the only way I could be effective in the pulpit is that I first had to understand what the people, not just in the doors, but the people that walked past the doors were going through.
Mm-hmm.
How do you do that? You gotta build relationships with them. You gotta talk to them. You gotta spend time with them, and that's part of the exegesis that is necessary. And that's been my journey. My journey has been understanding what depressed, bipolar, schizophrenic, addicted, sad, depressed people have gone through. Those folk who have lost their homes, who have lost their health, who are losing their relationships and their marriages, almost lost their lives, those folk contemplating suicide, those people who have lost loved ones, hearts ripped apart, grief stricken. My job is to understand innately what you're going through so that I can allow God to fill my mouth up with the words that I need in those times when you need somebody to give you a word. God has used my journey of contemplating suicide, sis, of at one time in my life having $15,000 in my pocket every weekend, of starting a company, growing it to $500,000 and losing all of it and not having two pennies to rub together. He's used my journey for not just a pulpit inside four walls, but he used my journey to prepare me for a virtual pulpit outside four walls, which is where I am today.
I want to talk about your marketing and communications company too. What is it?
Okay.
What is the name of it, and what's it about?
Girt Enterprises, Girt Enterprises LLC. And basically, we do audio, video, print, new media, multimedia, web, design, creative design, printing, all that kind of stuff. So we broker some of it, the printing. I don't have print machines at my house and digital stuff, so we have to broker some of it. So anybody that looks on the front of Martin University, they see that big M. So we did that. They've seen billboards that we've done throughout the city. Some people have seen, our videos on TV, Lawrence Township. You go into the movie theaters back in the day, you would see our commercials run that we produce for them. Websites, we've done the branding and website for Near Northwest NNW. So we did that for them. We're doing We're right now we contract with Flanner House to get ready to do their website. Barnes United Methodist Church, we're about to do their website. This year we just got into virtual events, and so we just did a virtual event for Starfish Initiative, which is a major mentorship program. We did a virtual event for Girls Inc. in Johnson County, and we also did a virtual book signing for several authors. So now we're into virtual events and trying to help people raise funds because they can't have their face-to-face fundraisers. So we use our platforms in order to allow people to still do their fundraising, and that's kind of what we're doing now.
And was it hard for you to transition into this new way of life as far as virtual and versus being face to face?
When you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. That was the thing I was trying to come up with. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. I was in Alaska speaking. I had a speaking engagement in Alaska at the end of February of this year. Everything was cool going to Alaska. I got up there, everything was great. Did what I had to do. I had to preach in the church on Sunday. I was working with the Black Caucus of Alaska for their conference on Saturday. Man, everything was great. Got on the plane on my way back to Indianapolis. I started seeing all these masks and stuff. I'm like, what the heck? What are y'all doing? Like, why are y'all doing this? Like, what's happening? I'm coming downstairs to the lower 48 and I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And almost immediately, I'm just trying to help somebody. If you listening to this and you trying to figure out, how God calls people into certain things, almost immediately, I couldn't sleep at night. And something was telling me that this was the real reason why I retired from pastoring.
Oh.
And I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? And it's like, and the Lord was telling me, what do you mean? What are you supposed to do with it? You've been doing it all along. We started our first virtual church in 2008. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's 12 years before this pandemic. I was preaching from truck stops and malls and parks. I was preaching anywhere I get a Wi-Fi. Way back in 2008, we were doing virtual. Mm-hmm. So when the pandemic happened and churches was closing up their doors, the Lord was like, this ain't nothing to you. You've been doing this. All you got to do now is find the right technology, implement that technology, and help other people do what you started doing over a decade ago.
Right.
So there was no time for it. There was no transition for me. My income plummeted from January to March, 80%. We went straight down. Okay. Once we started implementing this technology, we started seeing our income during the pandemic go up, 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 up. And that's the trend that we're on right now. So we didn't really have a long time to try to figure out the transition. Once things started shifting, right? I already had the studio built. I'd already acquired all the equipment. All I needed was the technology. And the technology that we implemented, we have used this technology so effectively that the manufacturer, the creator of the technology out of Boston, reached out to us to feature us on their global platform because nobody else was doing what we were doing the way we were doing it. And so that's why I'm doing 3 workshops at a big conference, the Inspire Conference in Memphis next month. That's why the Black NBA Association has me doing workshops for them. That's why the Center for Congregations called me and said, hey, we want you to do workshops. It was so bad that they asked me how much I charge to do seminars and workshops and webinars. I gave them a number and they said, oh, well, we can do better than that. The number they offered me was 3 times higher than what I offered them. Hello, somebody. I'm just saying this, and what I'm saying, this isn't about me. This is about I'm trying to help somebody else understand. I stay ready. What I was already doing it. I didn't put it down. I was already doing it. So when the opportunity presented itself, all I had to do was just walk straight in.
You and your wife just did an unconference. She's beautiful, by the way. Congratulations.
I know.
I said, why she look so good during the pandemic?
You should see her. Y'all know, I don't know if you're going to mention it. We just celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary.
Oh, right? Well, congratulations.
Yeah, I know I only look like I'm 25. I know I don't
That's
look like
that 70s juice. We look good.
I'm trying to. Well, I'm a 60s baby. I'm not a 70s baby. I'm a 60s baby. I was born in the 60s, all right?
Okay, so, 60 what? 7?
69. 69.
You know what? Okay, I was born in 72. So
All right, so
I'm
yeah,
not that behind you.
yeah.
So okay.
But I'm gonna claim the 60s, all right? But anyway, so we celebrated our 25th anniversary. And again, this is not about me. This is about doing what you gotta do to make sure that you can take advantage and you can do what you want to do when you want to do it. We got to our 25th anniversary, and I said, you know what? This is the 25th. You're supposed to do something special on the 25th. Your silver anniversary. It came really fast. The kids grew up really fast, all that kind of good stuff. And so I thought to myself, I said, what has my wife always wanted? I said, I want to get what my wife has always wanted. And she's always wanted a convertible car, a convertible.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to tell y'all, I went out and I bought my wife, you can edit this out if you want to. I went out and I bought my wife a, a, a sporty BMW hard top convertible. And
Amen.
I showed
I'm not
it.
editing this out. Why would I do that?
I said, because some folks can't handle that. But for us, I said she deserves it. She put up with me for 25 years. She put up with all these little companies I was starting for 25 years. We've had some good times when we were giving cars away, and we've had
Mm-hmm.
some lean times when they was coming. They was picking the car up and towing it away, right? So so she deserved it after 25 years, and yeah, she's still my ride or die when it comes to things like the Unconference. Yep.
And how was the for your first annual one? How did it go?
It was amazing. It was a lot of chaos on the backside, but what we've come to understand is that when you do virtual events on the level that we were doing that one, that backside, all that activity that y'all don't see on the front side, it's just part of it. It's just part of it. You're gonna have tech support. We had to have people on the phones, people on email. It was just a lot going on. Took us about 3 months to really pull it off. Again, we had to find the right technology. It was a learning curve for everybody, but especially me because I'm kind of the host, tech guy, all that at the same time. So it really did go very well. It was a lot, but the feedback we've gotten thus far has been positive.
Racism in the church, one of the subjects that church folks don't really like to talk about. Just one of the many subjects that church folks don't like to talk about.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, honestly, again, I think that this is part of why I've had to retire from the pastorate in a predominantly black church because there are some issues that we are not dealing with as an institution, as an organization, as a organism. There are some things that we need to deal with. Now, having said that, part of the reason why as a body of believers we need to deal with it is number one, the scriptures mandate that we deal with it. We got to call
Mm-hmm.
some things that do not flow with Malachi, where we need to love, justice, mercy, and walk humbly, right, before our God.
Mm-hmm.
If we're not going to flow with that scripture, we need to call some things out. And the black church has veered away from our responsibility to call out injustice, call out the lack of humility, even amongst our own leadership and those who are within the structures of the church, as well as not recognizing our role in mercy. When we veer away from that, we have to take the opportunity to look in the mirror and call a spade and say, you know what? We got some work to do. And I don't see the black church doing enough of that. Having said that, the reason why we have to have that conversation and the reason why scripture, I believe, mandates that we call some things out is because the historic white church has created an environment that they themselves complicitly don't want to deal with. And
Mm-hmm.
that is what has their role been in using religion to justify the subjugation of an entire race of people. All right.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and and so this is why I believe that race and class and religion have some work to do.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why I say we got some work to do.
Amen. What do you do that is not church related or business related to just woosah?
I sit outside Starbucks doing interviews on Skype.
You know what? No, sir. That is not a boo. So this is still work related.
Nah, for real though. Nah, for real though. What I love to do is I love to do things like this. I mean, where I can, you know, I feel like whatever God has taken me through over my 40, I'm over 50 now, but just say whatever God has put me through in 40 years, I ought to be able to take 40 minutes and help somebody else, keep them from going through some of the things that I've been through.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? So
Mm-hmm.
if I've been on this earth for 50 years, 51, going on 52 years, I need to take 50 some odd minutes to keep somebody else from having to go through some of the things that I've been through. And so, to be quite frank, I hope that makes sense. To be quite frank, these, like when I'm in the educational institution, when I'm teaching my classes, you can ask any of my former students, they'll tell you my classes were not about just what was in the book.
Mm-hmm.
My classes were about life. Whether we were talking about broadcasting, or we were talking about journalism, talking about communications, instruction, whatever it was we were talking about, I can always find a way to steer that conversation towards life. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's what gets me up in the morning, is not how I can be blessed, but how I can be a blessing to someone else. And so I can exhale, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can exhale when I know that throughout a day, I have found somebody that I can encourage, right?
Yeah.
I found somebody that I can lift up, like you saw me do. I was late getting on the call because I'm on the phone trying to encourage someone through a difficult season in their life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and part of that is you got to give what you want to receive. You know, I feel like if I don't give it, then when it's my turn, right? When it's my
Mm-hmm.
turn and I need it, I want to know that somebody is going to be able to stop and say, look, you bless me. Let me turn around and be a blessing to you. And that happens. That happens. Every now and then I get a message from somebody who reminds me of something I said to them, and they don't know that I needed it. I needed them to regurgitate to me what I said to them at that time in my own life. I plant seeds, and if sometimes I water seeds. Sometimes I purge. I had to cut some people, and I don't make no bones about that. I'm transparent. I tell it like it is. Um, and that's what gives me my woosah moment when I can be an encouragement to someone else.
Give yourself two adjectives that describe yourself and why.
Mm. Two adjectives. Um, I am an innovator. Why? I don't know. I don't know how not to. I don't know how not to think of ways to do things faster, better, cheaper, easier, whatever. That's just my nature. I don't. That's just part of what I do. The other thing is, I think I would say that, and I've used this word already. I'm an encourager. I'm encouraging because, again, how a car, you can shift it into gears, and when you get the joker into like fourth and fifth, you like really moving, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When I'm encouraging, that's like me being in fifth gear. It's like that's when I'm really cruising. When I can exhort and lift somebody up, right? And I can remind somebody of who they are in Christ. I can remind them that they were created with a purpose. I can remind them that they cannot leave this earth without depositing their seed into this atmosphere. When I can remind people of that man, and my mother told me once, she said, you have a gift. She said, you can make, when you talk to people, you make them feel like they're the only person on this earth. There's no anybody that has the ability to zero in on somebody and really let them know that I see you, that I hear you, that I understand you, and that I'm here for you. That's what God has put me on this earth to do. And that's what I try to do. It's weird because a lot of people don't know how to accept a person like that. They're always thinking I'm fishy, like, you
You're up to
really,
something.
yeah, you can't really want to know, you can't really want to encourage, you can't really, but those people have their own, they have other issues. They have back hurts and stuff that has happened in their past. They don't trust because somebody has put their brains in that place. But if I genuinely say that I'm here for you, I have to sometimes say say to people, is there anything I can do for you? Is there anything I can do to support you? Is there anything I can do to help you? Is there any way I can pray for you? I have to say, no, really, because I don't
Yeah.
think they believe me. That doesn't change me. I'm still going to do it. I'm still going to be that same guy that's an encourager, and I don't know how to turn it off. Again, it's just part of my DNA.
Yeah. I used to, when I was a property manager, I used to tell my boss at the time that I was a chameleon. I could become anybody that walked into that door, but a professional version of them. And that's how I could sell to them,
Yeah,
because it's easy to buy from you when you were talking to you.
right.
And that's what you have. That's the gift that you have. You are a chameleon, but the version of the person you're talking to is that godly version of them. So
Yeah,
that's why they're just like flabbergasted by, they see what they could be and they don't believe it.
yeah, yeah.
So,
Now, and I say it like this. One of the reasons why the church the way it is today is kind of like oil, and I'm kind of like water. You know,
mm-hmm,
is because I would preach Sunday after Sunday. Many times I would teach on Wednesday after Wednesday, and what, and I would feel, again. Remember I told you about that fifth gear. I would feel the struggle to get from third to fourth to fifth. I'm preaching, and it's good. I mean, I want to listen to the tape myself, right? It's
mm-hmm,
really good. Like, God is speaking through me. This ain't my notes. This is coming straight from the Holy Spirit. And I feel myself trying to get from third to fourth to fifth. But what I'm getting back from the people is,
resistance.
we like what you're doing. We like what you're saying. But truth be told, we're gonna walk out of here and we're gonna do the same thing we always been doing. And I can sense that in the conversation. So let me say it like this. But let a stranger walk into the church. Let an addicted person walk into the church. Let a homeless person walk into the church. Let a troubled person walk into the church, and my spirit will connect with them. And all of a sudden, I'm not preaching to anybody else but that one person. And that person gets me from third to fifth gear, like that. Like, whoop, whoop, I'm there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Because I can sense that there's somebody who's hungry. There's
yeah,
somebody who walked in and they said, "You don't know, Pastor, you are my last shot. If you don't encourage me, I'm putting a bullet through my brain.
mm-hmm,
If you don't encourage me, I'm giving up. This is the last straw. I'm throwing in. If you don't say something that's going to turn my mind in the other direction, that's it. I can sense that. And that's when I hit fifth gear. And that's when, I don't know what all these other people are going to do, but I can tell that the Lord sent me to speak in that moment to that one homeless person right there. Right. And
mm-hmm,
so, again, that's why I really feel like right now my job is virtual. You know, my job is virtual. So sometimes I preach funerals of people I don't even know, because my job is it's not about the deceased now. It's all about the people who are sitting out there in front of me who are grieving, and God has connected us in that grief so that I can speak a word that will encourage them and give them a reason not only to live, but to give them a reason to have a full life that the Bible calls life more abundantly. You know,
yes.
and that's my job. So anyway, you didn't ask for all that, but I'm just throwing it out for free.
I can't, well, did I ask or did I not? I think I did. You didn't give me an extra biscuit with that chicken basket.
That's funny. That's a good one. I love that. I love that. So yeah.
So, how can people contact you?
I got a couple of websites or LinkedIn. I mean, obviously you can find me on LinkedIn and just I think I'm John Girton on LinkedIn, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Pastor Girton in a lot of places. I'm John Girton in some other places. Certainly I'm Pastor Girton on Facebook, at J Girton on Twitter. Girt Speaks is the website. that clearly we have a typo. We got to fix that typo. But girtspeaks.com is my speaking website. Girtenterprises.com is our business website. Anybody can go there. We have a free Media Mentor Academy available where you can learn a lot about media, particularly in ministry and all that kind of stuff. So that's available to anybody that goes to that website. I've got an ebook out there that helps really any institution that wants to get into media and they don't know what to purchase or how to connect it all up. I have all that stuff on my website available to anybody that drops in at girtenterprises.com. And I don't know, I guess that's it.
Okay. And you know what? I actually look back, and you was right. It was thought.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah,
I'm like,
it was my typo in my notes. So I'm gonna just say that I can't spell, but I can count change really, really fast.
I'm right there with you. If it wasn't for Grammarly,
Hey, come on now. That is the word right there.
if it wasn't for Grammarly, we'd be in trouble. Now, you didn't ask me about the music business, so we're going to have to come back on and talk about the music industry.
Okay. We definitely had to do
Yeah.
that. So, but here's funny thing. My last question is a music song. It's a music question. You
Uh-oh.
ready?
Uh-oh.
All right. So if you could have any song be your theme song that's not yours, when you walked into a room, what would it be and why?
Uh, um, wow, I'm a lover of all music, so that's hard. So I can't even tell you what my favorite song is because that would confuse people.
No, it won't.
Well, maybe, you know what?
Now
Maybe
here's the thing. I've had people have multiple songs, so you can do that too.
yeah, maybe Kendrick Lamar, We Gonna Be All Right.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's the exact name of the song, but and there may be some areas of the song that I might not agree with, but the chorus, the "We Gonna Be All Right" part, is just kind of where I am right now.
Mm-hmm.
In my spirit, that's just where I am. Um, so I think that probably would be, I could bounce to that
Okay.
on my way into the room. I could bounce to that.
Okay. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I
Uh,
don't know what you think. Some church folks gonna be all extra about it, blah 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 blah.
oh
Skibbity
no,
do.
no, no,
I was gonna
no!
say they be all right.
I did not even have a church song. The other one's gonna be my favorite song is "Reasons." I'm
Look,
just trying to be. Uh,
wait a minute.
okay, I'm
I'm,
Earth, Wind, and Fire. Hello, hey, we can talk. Hey, I used to spin the records, right? We can.
yes, you did.
I can go back to Heat Wave.
Come on,
All of that. We can go to.
switch.
Yeah, all of them. We can talk about all of them. So yeah. So, but no, I think that in this season that we're in right now, I think that the Kendrick Lamar, at least the chorus of the "We Gonna Be All Right" is just where I am in my spirit right now. And it does make you nod your head and all that good
Right.
stuff too. But I would have had to have thought about that one a lot deeper to really come up with something that I could really hang my hat on. So I'm kind of knee jerk when I say that, but it is what it is.
Okay. Well, I tell you what. When we have you back, well, when I have you back for part two, and we talk about your music industry moments, then I ask the question again.
Oh, okay. You're gonna give me some time. All right.
I'm gonna give you some time. I'm gonna give you some time. And so I don't know how soon we could do a part two because your schedule's pretty tight. So you let me
We can,
know.
as long as my schedule doesn't really get tight until within 2 weeks. So like 3 weeks out, I'm clear for the
Mm-hmm.
most part. But if we get too close, like 2 weeks too close, that's when things start jamming up. So I'm typically pretty good.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna let you go because it's probably getting toasty out there at good old Starbucks.
It is. It is. I'm gonna go ahead and get me some water. I ain't gonna buy nothing. Give me some water. I can't afford to. I done bought that
I'll
BMW. I
see.
ain't got no money. I'm broke now.
You know what? You better have somebody put some gas in that car.
You know said so. You can't put no 87 in that, can you?
Boy, like my old pastor said, you can't walk up to the gas station talking about hallelujah, thank you, Jesus. It's not gonna fill up.
And that's what I tell people all the time. They be talking about talking about what what we drive and all that. And I'd be like, you know what? You can have my car and the car payment and the gas and the
Come
upkeep.
on,
You have
and the
all that.
insurance.
You got to be careful what you ask for, okay? Because
Ain't that it?
when we buy them Mercedes and all that kind of stuff, we also bought them tires and that
Yes.
oil change. You can't just put
Yes.
any kind of oil in them jokers.
No, sir.
So yeah, man. People be talking crazy, and I talk crazy right back. Like, okay, you want my car? You can have it, all of it. Praise
Yeah,
God. I don't.
maintenance on those cars ain't a joke.
Yeah, yeah. You
Yeah,
can't
my
just.
husband got a Beamer and I want an Audi, so yeah.
Yeah, I bought a Mercedes, took it to the oil to get the oil change the first time several years ago, and they were like, "Oh yeah, that's gonna be right out $110." Like, what? Why
Yeah,
it cost so much? They said, "Oh man, you got to put 5 quarts and
synthetic
synthetic,
oil. And,
yeah,
yeah,
synthetic in that joint." I'm like, "What?" They like, "Yeah,
yeah.
you can't just pour oil in this thing. What's wrong with you?"
Can't just
I
use
didn't
regular
know.
40D.
You can't do that. I was like, man, I had no idea. Well, I learned then that
I told my husband, this is a setup from hell.
yeah, they ain't playing. So
Mm-mm.
yeah, we when I hear that kind of stuff, again, being around the block a couple times as we have been,
Mm-hmm.
um, and you talked about this about being a '70s baby and all that, and we talked about the younger generation, and one of the challenges that I'm having with the younger generation is that they want to get to where we are without paying the cost that we pay,
Yeah, yeah.
without
They
going through
want it
what we've
right
been
now.
through. Yeah, and I'd be like, I'm gonna help you out real quick. Yeah, it's been 25 years before I was able to pay cash for my wife's convertible BMW. It took me
Mm,
25 years to get to a point where I could just walk onto a lot and be like, here, take this car, here's some cash, let me have that.
right,
You don't just
right.
do that. That don't just happen.
No.
People come to our house, like, well, how you having a house like yeah? Well, the heck, we started with a townhome, a little bitty
Mm-hmm.
thing in Colorado Springs. People
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it's something about it. They and I part of it I understand. Part of it I understand that the economy and the job markets are shifting to the gig economy. And yes, it is important to know how to manage yourself and to be somewhat entrepreneurial. I get that. But even in that, there's a process and there's a way in terms of learning and being a subject matter expert at what you're trying to charge people for. That is a process. You don't just wake up and all of a sudden, be, one of those certifications. You don't just automatic. And even if you get the certification because you don't have the experience, you
Right,
might have the certification, but you ain't seen enough situation scenarios to know how you're gonna respond professionally to earn your keep. And
right.
that I don't know. It's something about them that that a lot of them are missing, and they trying to work with people like me. And I'm like, I can't even work with you because the first thing you want to do is ask me how much am I gonna get paid? Hell, you ain't gonna get
Right.
paid nothing. You don't know nothing. I got a degree. So freaking what? You
Okay.
got a degree. Here's the deal. People look at websites that I do and they think I got a computer science degree. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't. Because
Mm-hmm.
nobody was doing websites when I was in college.
Right.
Nobody, what are websites? What's a website?
No. Right.
Right?
There wasn't even internet.
Yeah. So a degree, what's a
Well, it
degree?
was the dial up back
Yeah.
then.
Yeah. Modems and stuff. So when nobody doing websites. And so you and I both know that you get a degree today, 7 years later, you're doing something that you didn't even study in school.
Ain't that it?
Right? Because
Mm-hmm.
what you ultimately do has not yet been created. And so what I try to help young folk with today is that you get the degree to learn how the discipline. You got to get the degree so you learn how to do the research, how you learn how to be disciplined, how you learn how to learn, which is to
Mm,
unlearn and to relearn. That's what you go to school for. When you come out, there's a whole nother education that you got to go through. And you're not going to just automatically walk into a consultancy and you don't know nothing. People ain't
right.
gonna just pay you what I get paid. I charge $125 an hour,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I got a kid come and walk to me, 13, no, he's 14 years old, asking me how much can he charge to do a video. He's 14. I like, okay, here's what I said. Here's what I said. I said, young man, I said, will you be honest with me? You know, and we were texting each other. He said, yeah, I'll be honest with you. I said, what is going on in your life or in your family
Mm-hmm.
that is causing you to want to make money this early on when money should be the furthest thing from your mind?
Mm.
And so he gave me a couple things. And then I would say maybe 5 hours later, he sent me a message back and he said, Pastor G, will you pray for me? I texted him back. I said, sure, I'll pray for you. He said, because my parents are going through and I feel like I'm in the middle. And that's when I understood that there's something going on with this young man, because no 14-year-old should be reaching out to somebody with 30 years of experience asking me how to make money. I mean, there's no way he can charge what I charge. It's no way.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, no way. He to do the video that he did. I mean, if I did the same video, I could charge nowadays $200 something. He couldn't charge $25 for that video, and certainly he would not understand why. He'd be like,
right.
"Why can't? Well, you get $225. First of all, my normal rate for something like that, they should be paying $1,500 for that. I'm doing them a favor. That means you can't even do them a favor because you just don't have the experience. So that's what I'm getting from a lot of young people. They don't have the experience, they don't have the expertise, but they want to demand the money. And it's like, I don't know how to help you, because, if that's where your brain is, you're going to have to go through some real hard knocks to find out that it's going to take a while before and I don't know if you noticed, I don't know if you had a chance to see, my daughter was involved in the Unconference this year. She's 21. She's a senior at IU. And with all the stuff that was going on with regard to the George Floyd, the protests and all that, a lot of her friends were all kind of like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? They didn't want to march because of the COVID stuff and the masks and all that, but they wanted to do something. So we just told them, all right, y'all in charge of the logistics for the Unconference. So we gave them something to do. And so they were the chair, they were the committee heads, they did all of the backside stuff. And my wife said, you were really hard on her. You was really hard on her. I was like, what? I went hard on her? She's like, yeah, you were.
Yeah,
you were. And I said, well, I'm sorry, but I treat all my students, I treat all my children, I treat them all the same, because I expect the spirit of excellence out of them. I expect the most out of them. When I tell my daughter all the time, I didn't raise you to be no Yugo.
right.
I raised you as a Maserati. All right.
Come on now.
That means that you can't I can't put any kind of tires on you. I can't take you to any gas station.
Can't take you to Jiffy Lube.
No. When we need work done on you or whatever, we got to take you to special places, because anybody can't work on you.
Come on now.
And so that's how I am with my students. That's how I am with my children. So when she said I was hard on, I was like, okay, well, I don't know what you expect me to do. I'm not going to be easy on my investment. What I invest in, I expect to get a return.
That's funny, because with my girls, as far as I can remember, I've always bought them something for Valentine's Day. I was like, if a man can never outdo your mama, then he is not the man for you.
I know that's right. I'm right there with you. I am right there with you. I'm right there with you. Well, all right, girlfriend, I appreciate you.
I appreciate you, and we'll get part 2 up and running soon.
All right, I'll be here.
All right, think about that song.
I will.
All right. Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Pastor G, for being on my show. I really appreciate you showing us that you can be an entrepreneur, a forward thinker, and still boldly walk in faith. And if you would like to be a Worldly Church Girl, click the link below, shoot me an email, and let's see what we can do with that thing. Have you subscribed? What are you waiting for? You should go ahead and subscribe. That way you will never miss another episode. And once again, thanks for joining your one and only Worldly Church Girl.